Hi, this is Sweet June 2010, coming back at you with another interesting video topic. How's everybody doing this evening? Glad it's the end of the week. I'm so ready for the weekend. Been working hard all week. I've been watching these videos on YouTube lately about people been coming on here, and I noticed noticed a lot of videos where people are talking about biracial people. They're talking about how biracial people shouldn't call themselves black. They're not black. And I just watched one just recently. I forgot her name, but she said, "Well, biracial people are not black." And she was very adamant about it. She was very adamant about it. Had a very strong opinion about it, and she was basically saying how biracial people are black, and they shouldn't be talking about the struggles of black people and all this stuff like that. And I've been seeing other videos on YouTube about that too. People have been saying that biracial people are not considered black, and so I just thought this was an interesting topic to cover. And I said that's interesting how they don't think that biracial people are black. Um, the thing is, this country is operated on the one drop rule. It's been like that since the beginning of time. It's been like that since slavery. See, back in slavery, the slave master would sleep with the black woman, and he would impregnate her, and she would have, biracial children, but those children were still considered black. Those children was not considered white. They were still considered black. And so they still got treated like the rest of the slaves. They still were considered black because they didn't wasn't considered all the way white. They were treated as slaves because unless somehow they could pass for white, which they couldn't in most cases, they were still treated like slaves because of the one drop rule. It's been like that since the beginning of time. It's been like that since slavery. And so this country operates on the one drop rule. We get judged by how we look in this country. We get judged by how we look. If you don't have white skin and you don't have European features and you don't have European hair, you are considered a person of color. As Elder Rasan DeLay would put it, you are considered a melanated black person. You are considered a melanated person. If you don't have you don't have white skin, and you don't have European features, and you don't have European hair texture, you are considered a melanated person. You are considered a black person. They consider you a minority. They consider you a person of color. And this country is operated on that. This country is operated on the one drop rule. So, and there's the reason why most biracial people consider themselves black. They consider themselves black. And a lot of people get mad at that is because, reason being, is because they're treated that way. That's the way they're going to be. That's the way they're treated. They're treated like black people. And we all know that with the current racial climate in this country, we all know that black people are not treated the same as white people. White people and black people are treated differently. And, there is a thing called white privilege that white people have that black people don't have. I mean, that's why they call it white privilege. Okay, so if you're mixed, if you're biracial, then you're not going to get that white privilege because one of your parents happens to be white. You don't have access to that white privilege. It doesn't work that way because when they look at you and you have dark skin and you have any kind of skin pigmentation and you don't have European features and you don't have European hair, then that's the way you're going to be treated. We get judged by how we look in this country. We get judged by how we look. We don't get judged by the content of our character. We get judged by how we look. And if you have any kind of any kind of pigmentation to your skin, and you don't have European hair and you don't have European features, then they're not going to consider you white, which means they're going to consider you black. And if they consider you black, they're going to treat you like the rest of the black people. Okay? Biracial people do not get treated any different than the rest of us black people. Okay? Matter of fact, they probably get ostracized even more because of the fact that they are mixed race. Take President Obama, prime example. Now, technically, he's our first biracial president. He's our first biracial president. Technically, he represents black people and white people because his mom was white and his father was African. He actually represents both white and black people. He's a representative of both white and black people, if you want to be technical about it. He's our first biracial president. Okay? Technically speaking. But why do America call him the first black president? They call him the first black president. They completely ignore the fact that his mother was white. They completely ignore that. When they're bashing him and talking about him and dogging him out, and a lot of it is because he's race, because he's black, because he's dark skinned, he's not white. They're completely denying the fact that he has a white mom. They're not even thinking about the fact that he has a white mom. They keep calling him the first black president, literally. And technically, he's the first biracial president. He represents white people and black people. But people aren't looking at it that way. They don't see it that way. They look at him, they see President Obama as a black man. In their eyes, he's a black man. He's a black man in their eyes because he has dark skin and he doesn't have European features in his dark skin. So in their eyes, he's a black man. They don't care nothing about the fact that he's got a white mom. All they see when they look at him, they see a black man, and that's the way that he's judged. He's judged according to the fact that he's a black man, and he's the most ostracized president that I've ever seen in office. I mean, they talk about them all, but nobody has gotten as much scrutiny as President Obama. I must say that out of all the presidents that we've had since I've been alive, he has gotten the most criticism, the most humiliation, and he has been under the most scrutiny. And it's because he's black. It's because he's black. He's biracial technically, but in their eyes, he's a black man. And they call him the first black president. But technically, he's the first biracial president. So see, that's a prime example for you right there. This country is operated on the one drop rule, and that's why people get mad that biracial people consider to say that they're black. It's because that's the way they're treated. They're treated like black people. I mean, it's a no-brainer. This country operates on the one drop rule. And if you don't know that, check your bub. Or do your research, just check history. Do your research, do a Google search, check history. That's been going on since the beginning of time. That's been going on since slavery. We had a lot of mixing back then. It was a lot of mixing back then because the slave master slept with the black woman, and a lot of biracial babies were made. Well, they were still slaves. They were still born slaves. It didn't matter if their father was white. They were still born slaves. See. So the mother of the child probably had a hope that the child would be treated differently. She probably hoped that child would be treated differently, but the child wasn't treated any differently. Matter of fact, I mean, a lot of times they got caught. They got ostracized by the black people, and you know, a lot of times it was worst because they wasn't all the way black, when they wasn't all the way white. So, people saying that biracial people are black, well, that's the way they're. I mean, that's the way they're treated in this country. They are treated like black people, and quite honestly, a lot of them look black. I mean, they look black. I mean, black. I mean, they may have one white parent, but let's face facts. Black is the dominant gene, and most of them, you know, I mean, most of them, you know, you can kind of tell that they're biracial, but like some of them, you know, their skin is just as dark as mine, you know. And so, I mean, you got light-skinned black people. I've seen black people with two black parents that look lighter than some of these biracial people out here. Yes, there are black people with two black parents that have lighter skin than some biracial people. Because we come in all different. It's because of the race mixing back in slavery. It's because of the mixing back in slavery. See? And that we're all different skin complexions. But there are some black people that have two black parents, and their skin is lighter than some of these biracial people. And some biracial people, I'm brown complected. I consider myself brown skin, and some biracial people's skin is just as dark as mine, almost as dark as mine. So it depends, you know, it varies. Some of them, you know, the skin is lighter. Some of them the skin is darker. Some of them is in between. It varies. Unless you're a biracial person that can pass for white, if you are a biracial person that can pass for white, then that's different. Then you will have access to the white privilege. But if you're a biracial person that don't have European features, you have any kind of a pigmentation in your skin, then you are going to be treated like a black person. And this is why most biracial people, most majority of them, consider themselves black people, because and they identify more with the black race than they do with the white race, because that's the way they're treated by society. You know, President Obama, like I said, he's a prime example. They keep calling him the first black president, but technically he's the first biracial president. They're ignoring the fact that he has a white mom. So see, this country operates on the one drop rule. If you look black, you are black. Okay? That's the way they see it. If you look black, you are black. If you look like a person of color, then you are a person of color. And we all know that people of color in this country are not treated the same as European people in this country. We know that. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. Considering the current racial climate that we're dealing with right now, yeah. Let me know in the comment section. Let me know what your opinion is in the comment section. What you guys think about it, you know. Let me know what you think. Okay. More interesting videos coming up. Peace and love. God bless. This is Sweet June 2010.